All right, here we go with example 3, and this one is a little bit more challenging. But example 3 says Joe's annual income has been increasing each year by the same dollar amount. The first year his income was 24,000, and the ninth year his income was 31,680. In which year was his income 45,120? Now, again, there are a couple of different ways that you can go about trying to find this one, but remember, you can always think your way through a problem. So, again, just like we've been doing, I want you to pause the video for a minute, reread the problem, try to come up with a strategy to help you figure out what the answer is. And when you're ready, then finish playing the video, and we'll talk about how I would approach it, and maybe from a couple of different angles. So go ahead and pause now. Okay, so hopefully you've had some time to think about this problem, and maybe you've come up with a strategy. You may even have the answer. And if you do, I hope so. That's fantastic. But let me tell you how I would approach this one. First of all, just by trying to think my way through the problem. Okay, so they told us that the first year his income was $24,000. So I'm just going to put me a little line here and say 24,000, and that's his first year. And then it says the ninth year his income was 31,680. Okay, so first year, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. Here would be the ninth year. They said that it was 31,680. Okay, well, if it's increasing by the same amount every year, then smack dab in the middle should be the absolute average of those two numbers. So I think I would find the average of those two numbers, and that should be what he's making here in the middle in the fifth year. So that would be first year, second year, third, fourth, fifth year here in the middle. Oop, that's not very pretty. Year. There we go. So remember, in order to find the average of two numbers, you have to add them up and divide by 2. So when you do that, you end up getting 27,840 for the fifth year. Well, we could repeat that process and figure out what he made during this third year, which would be right here in the middle of these two. So if we added those up and divided by 2, we would end up with 25,920. And then we could do the exact same thing and figure out how much he's made the second year by adding those up and dividing by 2, which should give you 24,960. Now let's double check ourselves just to make sure that we are going up by the same amount each year. So, what's the difference here, or how much are you adding in order to get from 24,000 to 24,960? Well, we're adding $960. Is it the same for the next year? Actually, it is. It's adding $960. So 960 is our common difference. Now, what you could do, since you know that, is now you could say, okay, well, so I know what he makes in the ninth year. What about the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th? You could go on and on and on and on until you figured out when he made $45,120. That's a perfectly reasonable way of approaching this problem. Now, another way that you could do it is, now that you know the first term and the common difference, we could actually solve this problem using the formula. So if you'll remember, the formula for an arithmetic sequence was a sub n equals a plus n minus 1 in parentheses times d. So here in this case, we want a sub n, or that last term there, to be 45,120 equals a, which is our first term, which was 24,000, plus n we don't know, so we have to leave that as n, minus 1 times the common difference, which in this case was 960. Okay, so now all we have to do is solve this for n, and that will tell us how many, which term that it is, which is how many years. So if I take the 45,120 and I subtract off 24,000, then that would be 21,120 equals n minus 1 times d, which is 960. Now I can distribute this 960 to get 21,120 equals 960n minus 960. Now then I could add 960 to that 21,120 to get 22,080 equals 960n. And then we would just have to divide by 960 in order to get 23. So 23 years is how long it's going to take for that to happen. Now you would have gotten the same exact thing if you had continued on with what we had done before. In the 9th year, we knew it was this, so if we added 960 to that, it would be 32,640, and then if we added 960 to that, it would be 33,600, and so on and so on and so on until we hit 45,120, and then you would see that that would be 23 spaces from the first year. So I hope that that makes sense. I really want to get across to you guys that you can use formulas for things, but trying to, sit down and draw out blanks and just, common sense and logic and figuring your way through things will be so beneficial to you, especially when you go to take those teacher's exam tests to get state certified. So don't ever discount that.